morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Rosa, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at that Bruno card. You see, I showed you a couple of weeks ago that we were getting Bruno, and I showed you a very small, very blurry picture that basically did not show you anything at all. I also told you that we'd never actually had a Bruno card in the Pokémon TCG. Now, Japan over in their Versus set had a few Bruno's something cards, like Bruno's Steelix and Bruno's Machamp and Bruno's Hitmonjan, but we'd not actually seen a proper Bruno card. Well, now Bruno's here, and it has been translated by the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites here. And that means we can finally look at what it does. And if you've been playing the game for a little while, like a lot of cards, this one is going to sound kind of familiar. Now, what we see here is it's a single strike card, but that has almost no relevance at all. Shuffle your hand into your deck, and then draw 4 cards. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, draw 7 cards instead. Has anyone who's been playing a while figured out what card this is yet? It's Cynthia's Feelings. Except it's actually worse than Cynthia's Feelings. Cynthia's Feelings, for anyone that's interested, was actually the first time Cynthia popped up in the card game. But this is so much worse. Because Cynthia, you shuffled your hand into your deck and drew 4 cards, and if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you drew 4 more cards. Oh. That's literally just better. So, cheers, Bruno. I mean, to be fair, Bruno's one of the Elite Four, but Cynthia is the champion, so I suppose in some ways we can look at it and go, well, no, Bruno's not supposed to be as good. But it has been a number of years since Legends Awakened came out. Legends Awakened, the set where we got Cynthia's Feelings, that dropped in August 2008. So time this drops in March 2021, we're talking like 12 and a half years. And all that's happened is that card's just gone a little bit worse, which in a way is kind of sad, but this is a weird thing we see. Pokemon get better and better and better. Supporter cards over time sometimes do just get nerfed down a little bit. I mean, recently, earlier today, I want to say, I showed you Corinna's Motivation. And Corinna's Motivation is Bianca. But then again, Bianca was reprinted as Lily, which was better. Same card, but you drew an extra 2 cards if it was your first turn. And then Lily went away and was replaced by Corinna's Motivation, which is back to Bianca, so this does happen. Is this card any good? Yes. Yes, it is. Now, when we had Cynthia's Feeling, it was a weird kind of format. It was back in Gen 4, back in the Diamond and Pearl era. And what was weird about Cynthia's Feelings was we didn't really have multiple prize Pokemon. We were rocking with level X's that were big and fancy, but only gave up 1 prize. So there were lots of KOs happening. We're not there at the moment. We've got tag teams that give up free prizes, and we've got VMAXs that give up free prizes, etc. But there are some decks that are going to love it. I mean, I go back to my Excadrill deck. I'm a dude that generally plays single prize decks. And when I look at Excadrill, I go, well, you know what? This is going to be great in Excadrill. Because when I'm playing Excadrill, one of 2 things is going to happen. I attack with Excadrill, and either I get KO'd, and I'm scrabbling to get a Drill Burn, a Fighting Energy, and an Excadrill, and kind of reset my setup, or I don't get KO'd, and I've got that little bit of breathing room, and I'm happy that I've got the breathing room. That is good. Well, the thing is here, that if I get KO'd, I can use Bruno to get a new hand of 7 cards, which is awesome. And if I don't get KO'd, I don't really need that new hand of 7 cards. Not along those lines at all. Because I'm not having to replace all of my Pokemon, so I like this. I can understand why some decks won't want to play this, and this is not an every deck kind of card, but I can absolutely understand why some decks would want to play this. Now, it does need to be borne in mind that turn 1 this sucks. Like, if you draw this on turn 1 instead of, say, a Professor's Research, discard your hand, draw 7 cards, that is not good. But then again, it only gets you one fewer card than a Marnie, although it doesn't do the disrupting thing Marnie does, which is annoying. What I'm saying is, it's not ideal, it's not terrible, but it's a little bit rubbish. I mean, it gets you as many cards as a Judge used to, which we don't love, but it's not the end of the world. We just really wish it was a little bit more. So I don't think this is a 4 of. Like, I see this as one of those cards where we'll get more into supporters in a minute, but you're going to be playing your 4 Professor's Research, you're going to be playing your 4 Marnie, and then if you're looking for a couple of others, this is where you go. Maybe you can take Marnie out for this, but I really don't think anyone's dropping Professor's Research from their deck in order to put this in. No. No. I don't think that's a great idea. But the fact of the matter is, there are going to be some decks, single prize decks, who just expect to give up a prize every turn. And in those kind of decks, this is a shuffle and draw 7. Now, bearing in mind that Cynthia, no feelings, just Cynthia, was a shuffle draw 6, and that was just a card that saw a ridiculous amount of play for the whole time it was legal. And Professor Oak's New Theory was just a shuffle draw 6, and that saw a huge amount of play for the entire time it was legal. A shuffle draw 7, clearly a phenomenal card. And for what it's worth, Cynthia's Feelings did see a lot of play back in the day. It was a card that really did make its way into a lot of decks. Yeah, they were hoping for the 8 rather than 7 you'd get nowadays, but it's still very, very nice. And this is gonna build into some decks. Now, there is one cool little ruling thing I need to point out here. Remember that Lily's Pokédoll counts as a Pokemon. It is a Pokemon. Which means that when it gets KO'd, you did have a Pokemon KO'd the previous turn. Oh, well, that's quite nice. So your opponent KOs Lily's Pokédoll, they don't take a prize, but they do still activate your extra free cards being drawn, which is brilliant for you, not for your opponent. So that's kind of awesome. Of course, what some people are going to say here, and incidentally it is an absolutely fair criticism to levy at the card, what makes us want to play this over Rosa? Rosa, if you had a Pokemon KO during your opponent's last turn, i.e. like this, lets you search your deck for a trainer card, a basic energy card, and a Pokemon, and put them into your hand. Okay, is that better than 7 cards? Like, a lot of the time, Rosa is a really good card. We like Rosa. But a lot of the time, Rosa is actually not going to work. Rosa doesn't, and I speak as someone who plays single prize decks and has played Rosa a lot. Rosa doesn't always work. Sometimes you need more than one Pokemon. You need more than one energy. You need 2 different trainers, etc. Rosa's good, but Rosa guarantees that you're not getting any more than those 3 cards. Bruno gets you 7. Not to mention the fact that, let's say Rosa is the only card in your hand and your opponent doesn't take a KO, Rosa's a dead card. Rosa doesn't work. You literally are not allowed to play Rosa. Whereas Bruno, you can. And fine, shuffling your hand into your deck and drawing a new hand of 4 cards isn't ideal, but it's more ideal than... It's not a dramatic pause, the video isn't broken. Nothing at all happens if you didn't have a Pokemon code the previous turn and you've got a Rosa in your hand. Nothing happens. There is nothing to be gained from that. So do I think Bruno's better than Rosa? Yeah, actually, most of the time I do. Because, and don't get me wrong, like, I love Rosa. I've played Rosa in so many decks. Please don't think I don't know how good Rosa can be. I adore Rosa. And to be fair, in Stage 2 decks where you can search for Rare Candy and a Stage 2 and an Energy, then yes, I still think Rosa is better. I'm not saying it's always better, but I'm saying that in that situation, Rosa's better. But Bruno can always be played, and Bruno gets 7 cards at random rather than 3 specific cards, but I know you get to pick the cards with Rosa, but how often do you need 1 Pokemon, 1 trainer, 1 energy? A lot of the time you need 2 Pokemon and an energy, or 3 Pokemon or whatever, and this changes turn to turn, and Rosa can't do that for you. Now, one other thing we need to point out here is that it is a single strike card, and that is basically meaningless. Now, when we talked about Corinna's Motivation, I told you that was a Rapid Strike card, but I also told you about Octillery. Octillery having an ability that searches your deck for any Rapid Strike card and puts it into your hand. So at least with Corinna's Motivation, I could say, look, play 1 or 2 copies in your Rapid Strike deck so that you can search it out with Octillery if you're really struggling for a supporter. But that's not the case here. That doesn't work here. And that's a bit of a problem. So, yeah, it is a single strike card, and there might be something it interacts with in the future, but the single strike logo on this card is basically meaningless. No, wait, I thought of one really niche example. Tower of Darkness is a stadium card that lets you discard a single strike card from your hand and draw 2 cards. There we go. You can discard this with Tower of Darkness to draw 2 cards. Boom! Nailed it. Yeah, it's not exactly something to be terribly proud of, is it? I still think this is between 4 and 5 Wassy card. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. This is a new draw supporter, and it's a good new draw supporter. I liked Kabu, but even as I was looking at Kabu, I was fully aware that this was a supporter card that was extremely niche and unlikely to see huge amounts of play. I thought there was a chance it could really become good, but it has not proven to be at all. This is a shuffle draw 4. If your active is your only active Pokemon in play, you shuffle and draw 8 instead, which I like, but then if you get KO'd, you lose, which isn't ideal. Whereas here, it is if you had a Pokemon KO the previous turn. I think this is way better than something like Kabu. And I don't like with Corinna's Motivation. I don't think this is going to replace Professor's Research. And I don't think this is going to replace Marnie. But I absolutely do believe this is going to see a lot of play. And I do think it is a better option than Rosa. I'm sorry if that sounds mean to Rosa. But I would kind of like to know what you think about this, ladies and gentlemen. So, let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.